My name is Francine. It's so good to be here with all of you. Welcome to the Spiritual Warrior Yoga Teacher Training Q&A session. So, for your awareness, there are two Kundalini Yoga Teacher Training programs that we offer at Yoga Farm. There is the 200-hour Kundalini Warrior Program, Yoga Teacher Training, and then there's the 300-hour Advanced Spiritual Warrior Training. And this Q&A today is for the 300-hour Advanced Spiritual Warrior Teacher Training. So I just wanted to clarify because sometimes it can be a little bit confusing with the warrior being in both titles and both names, and I wanted to make sure that you all are here for the right thing. So my name is Francine Reynolds, Francine Rivera Reynolds, and I'm one of the lead educators in the Spiritual Warrior Teacher Training. And I am so glad that you took the time to be here today. I'm going to do my best in the first 20 minutes or so to give as much information as I can about Yoga Farm, about the program, and I hope that I cover everything. So hopefully while I'm talking about everything, I also answer any questions that you have come with on your mind today. Now, for whatever reason I don't answer the question that you have, after I'm done speaking, you will have the opportunity to ask all of your questions later on. And in the event that I do answer all of your questions that you came with, and you feel like you got all the information that you came here looking for, then you are totally welcome to exit the room at any time, go about the rest of your day. I promise I won't feel any sort of way if you suddenly leave. So please feel free to go about the rest of your day if you've received all the information that you came to. So the whole point of this Q&A is to introduce myself, give you all an idea of what Yoga Farm is and what the Spiritual Warrior Program is all about. So first I will start with a quick introduction, introduce myself, and then I will get into more of the logistics. The logistical side of things. So like I said before, my name is Francine. I'm one of your lead educators in this program. And my personal Kundalini journey began before the pandemic. I was going through a very rough transition in my life. I remember feeling very stuck and I was anxious all the time, and I felt like everything was just so overwhelming. I was lost and I didn't really know myself anymore. I had just gone through a very tough divorce, and I was a stay-at-home mom and had spent every moment with my children from the moment that they were born. And at the time, I had to begin to share my time with them because because of the divorce. I had to share my time with them, and that was really a hard transition for me. And then the day came when my kids were going on vacation for the first time without me, and they left, and I was alone. I was alone, and I didn't know. I realized that I was an adult who didn't know how to be alone with myself, which was very eye-opening for me. So I went online and I was looking for a way to escape, of course. I went online and I booked this retreat immediately to escape from everything, thinking that this would help at the time. And it was all very spontaneous. And when I arrived, I met a woman who said she was a healer. And and I was very interested in her healing. So I said, give it to me. What is it that you offer? And she read my chakras. She gave me a meridian massage, and we got to talking. I spilled all of my life out to her after our session, and she was wonderful, and she said two things to me. We talked a lot, but two things stood out the most. First, she said, be happy. Francine, just be happy, she kept saying. And then she said, when I was about to leave, she said, I think Kundalini Yoga can be helpful to you. And this was the first time that I had ever heard about Kundalini Yoga. I had done Vinyasa and Hot Yoga and Ashtanga, but never Kundalini. So I was very curious. And when I went back home, I immediately began researching Kundalini Yoga schools in my area. And I live in Ithaca, and that's when I found Yoga Farm. I found Yoga Farm Ithaca, and I honestly didn't know what to expect. I had no idea what to expect, but at the time I knew that yoga made me feel good. I knew that it was some sort of medicine, and someone I trusted had guided me to this particular direction, in this direction. So I said, okay, let's give it a try. What do I have to lose? So I went for it, and I tried something new, and something that was quite unusual to me at the time, because you all know, if you've ever done a Kundalini yoga class, it can get quite silly sometimes. It can be confusing. Why are we sticking our tongue out like this? Why are we doing this rapid breathing while holding our arms in this position for 17 minutes? That's just crazy. But I was very curious, and I wanted to learn. And at some point I settled into a regular practice. And as I learned more and more, I fell more and more in love with Kundalini Yoga. And within a few months of practicing, I began to feel stronger, sharper, more alert. And I began to sense this deeper connection to myself that I had never had before. And also connecting with my loved ones more deeply, on a deeper level. And I found myself appreciating all of the little things. Everything around me looked brighter, and opportunities started coming my way that were not there before. I began to realize who was for me, who was not for me, and that didn't mean that we were separate. It just meant that we are all one, but at the same time that sometimes people are not for you in that moment, and that doesn't mean that we can't love them from afar. And I started to learn how to set these boundaries in my life, and I realized that I really wanted to share this potent medicine with others. It had helped me so much, this practice, that I wanted to share the magic that is Kundalini Yoga with everyone and anyone. And I went on this mission, offering my classes for free online and trying to draw in as many people as I could to share with them this healing practice. And so this is really my why. It's why I'm here. It is my current mission in life. Other than, of course, raising my 4 beautiful children to be good people who are confident enough to share their unique gifts with the world. I have a mission to spread the healing power of Kundalini Yoga. It's one of my missions. And I wanted to also share a little bit about myself as a teacher. I am a 200-hour ERYT and 500-hour RYT in Kundalini Yoga. I received both of these certifications with Yoga Farm Ithaca. I am also trained in Yin Yoga, subtle anatomy. I specialize in subtle anatomy and traditional Chinese medicine within the context of yoga, so for yoga practitioners. I also teach Kundalini dance and Kundalini chair yoga. So I teach a wide variety of classes in CEUs with Yoga Farm Ithaca. And in my classes, you can expect to sweat, chant, dance. Maybe not all of them in the same class, but this is what you can. These are some of the things you can expect in my classes. And also, we're going to learn a lot about what is happening within you on a physiological and energetic level as you practice. That's sort of where I geek out the most. And that is really my offering. In the program, we will go over and break down each kriya, each posture in each kriya. We will talk about what is happening physiologically, what is happening energetically, what meridians are being stimulated. We'll make all the connections between Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine so that we have a very deep understanding of the subtle body. Now, your other lead educator in this program is Jeannie O'Neill. She's the executive director of Yoga Farm Ithaca. And she is a masterful teacher, and I have had the honor to travel with her for a long time and learn from her and co-collaborate with her in the creation and the execution of the Spiritual Warrior program. So it's been quite an adventure. A few other people you will get to know along the way are Sabrina Trapani. She is one of the TAs for Spiritual Warrior, and she is also a very important part of our student support. You'll get to know her if you're receiving any emails. She is that person that is guiding you through the process of signing up for programs and such. All right, so now let's talk about the school that is Yoga Farm. What is Yoga Farm? So Yoga Farm Ithaca is a non-profit 501c3 educational organization. Our mission is to remove the barriers that are between anyone who has an interest or a longing to have access to yogic or well-being practices and teachings, and to make sure that these practices are accessible to all. For such a long time, yoga was accessible to just a particular portion of people, and this is unfortunately still true in some places. And I've known of so many people who don't have access to yogic teachings, or they have this belief that yoga is too hard, or it's simply not for them and for their bodies, and they write it off. And we at Yoga Farm firmly believe that yoga is for everyone and for everybody. And we train our teachers on how to make these practices accessible and available to everyone. And this is not only on a physical level. Yes, we'll get into how to incorporate props and adapt each posture so that it is accessible to everyone. But this is not just on a physical level, but also on an emotional and social and monetary level as well. When you walk into a yoga studio, or when you look around at the faces in your studio, if you own your own yoga studio, who is missing in the room, right? When we look around, who is missing? And that is what we like to open up everyone's mind to. Accessibility, adaptability, these are very important aspects of this training. We will teach you how to modify postures so that the practice is accessible, and this is something that you will learn how to do very well. And we also dive into the history of Kundalini Yoga, social justice with talks with Jeannie, Ayurveda of the mind and the body, the moon cycles and archetypes, and how every human being on earth works with the ebbing and flowing of the cycles of the moon. We learn all about that, and the Enneagram as well, which is when we really dive into the mental body. So we'll explore each of the different energetic bodies, and each of these topics are offered through different powerful female contributing educators in this program, which if you go to our website, we have bios for each of our educators. So this course is really a deep dive, a very deep dive. It's almost a year to complete. It's a deep dive into yourself. And an opening up of your perspective about other people and the world around you. So the Spiritual Warrior Yoga Teacher Training is a very beautiful and honorable, I think that teaching from this place is a very beautiful and honorable place to teach from. This place of compassion, this place of true understanding and inclusivity. And I think this is what really sets this training apart from other trainings. So let's now, I have a few more minutes. I want to open the floor, but I want to dive into some logistics. So we have designed this program to fit into your life and into your world. We approach this training from a feminine perspective. What that means is feminine energy is all about going with the flow of life. It is, feminine energy is nurturing, and it is flexible in that sense. So for example, every live class is recorded, and the replay is made available to you in your classroom within 48 hours. So if life is happening and you are not able to make it to the live class, your kid had to go to the doctor, your dog isn't feeling well, whatever the case is, that live class replay will be there waiting for you in your classroom. You have the replay to refer to. You don't get extra points for attending class. It is highly recommended to be there for the live classes, but if you're not able to, you have that replay. We are flexible and understanding, and we know that sometimes things just happen. And at the same time, we also have a great balance of masculine energy, which is more direct and logical. So there's a manual for this training, and there is a syllabus. There is a well-organized and delivered online classroom with 8 modules that release on a specific schedule. So one important thing I also like to mention is that if you are not able to attend a particular live class, this does not affect you being able to attend the next class in the schedule. So if you couldn't make it to class on Thursday, for example, let's say Thursday night you couldn't make it, that doesn't affect you being able to attend class on Saturday. So like in any regular school setting, right? For example, if you missed math class, that doesn't mean you cannot attend science class later today, right? Or later in the week. They are 2 different subjects. So the course is intentionally designed in this way for your ease of learning. We do encourage students to come to as many live classes as they can. And we also encourage students to come to office hours. So office hours are a really great way to connect with your instructors, have your questions answered. We also love when students stay engaged in the community as much as they can, because this is really what makes it feel like we are in person together. Our Yoga Farm Kundalini community is a beautiful space to connect with others who have taken our various programs. And if you are on Facebook and would like to join, that would be lovely. We also offer what is called Kriya Q rehearsals. These are hosted by alumni, and they are weekly opportunities to practice teach with others. Another thing I like to mention, we are not affiliated with KRI, 3HO, or Yogi Bhajan. We talk about the history and the philosophy behind Kundalini Yoga and the lineage of yoga that came together to create what we consider modern day Kundalini. We talk about what this path looked like prior to Yogi Bhajan and his arrival to the United States in the late 1960s. And we honor the entire lineage of this path. Okay. So now I will move on to the structure of the program. And actually, I'll pass this to Jeannie to go over the structure of the program, since every cohort, things kind of change a little bit. So I will transfer it over to Jeannie. And it was nice chatting with you all. Thank you so much for being here.
So the structure is delivered in 3 live classes a week. These live classes have particular focuses and subjects, as well as educators that are most of the time, Francine and I, we are the faces you will see the most. And then we have contributing educators who come in to teach specific topics. Supriya Shah will be joining us to teach some in-depth Ayurveda. She has a background in Western medicine from Brown University, and she also is an Ayurvedic practitioner, consultant, all that great stuff. So she has both kind of perspectives, West, East, anatomy and physiology wisdom. We also have contributing educators, Kim Beekman, Jaya Lalita. Kim is our Ayurvedic psychology person. Jaya Lalita comes and teaches us in depth about the Enneagram. So they are contributing educators as well. And we have Sabrina. Sabrina is our student support person. She is also our teacher. She comes in and teaches weekly classes. You'll see her listed as a teacher in some of the live classes. And she might guide you through things like cue rehearsals and things like that as well. You will have a TA in the program, Tasha Edwards. She is one of our alumni and she'll be joining us as the TA. So if you have structural questions, where is this in the classroom? I thought I had this somewhere. Where do I find it again? She will be with you along this journey and she can help support you as well. You will probably see her in Korea rehearsals too. So these 3 live classes, we have Thursday's classes from 11 until 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And this is Eastern time zone. Once you're in our Mighty Network platform and you have created your login and your profile, including your accurate location, Mighty Network will adjust time zone to where you are. So when you sign into Mighty Network and you click on your events for the day, you can trust, as long as you put your location in there, that the times for classes are the times for classes for you, because Mighty Network has that in its calendar capability. We also walk you through integrating that calendar with your Google Calendar, iCalendar, whatever calendar you use. And we give you a schedule that you can print out if you are a paper and printy type of person. Just know that things might adjust and change topic wise. Like an example of that could be, knock on wood, everyone's pretty healthy, but somebody is not feeling well and can't teach. We might swap a class. So I could cover for Francine. She can take the night off and get better. And then the class that she was going to teach would get swapped with the next class I was going to teach. We do try to not change anything once the program goes live so that everybody can rely on the schedules and the plans that they make. So Thursday from 11 to 1, Saturday, you have class from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And Sunday, you have class from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Those are the 3 required classes in the structure of the program. So doesn't mean that you have to be there live. You can watch them on replay. It does mean that when you get to your final certification checklist and it says, have you attended or watched all of the classes for your program? Those are the classes that it's referring to. Because we also have live Kundalini classes, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. There will also be other fun classes that are optional. Sometimes we have workshops. I do like a monthly workshop in our membership, and sometimes that's open to the public as well. Those are not things that are considered required for your program. They're just extras that you have access to. And there's a lot of them. So I like to be really clear about what is required and what is a bonus. So people don't feel like, oh my God, I have to go to class like 8 times during a week. No, this is not, you're not getting a master's degree in biochemistry. You're getting a master's degree in Kundalini yoga, but it's a little bit different, right? It's an advanced program. It's not that intensive though. So 3 live classes a week are the requirement. And that is the structure. The Korea rehearsals will pop up. Sometimes they're going to work for you. Sometimes they're not. You're also welcome to rehearse with your family and friends. You're also welcome to get together with other classmates who maybe can't make the live time and do your own impromptu rehearsals. The lead educators in the program also all have office hours throughout the week, and those will show up in your calendar as well. Those are optional. You're not required to attend office hours, but it's kind of like this. It's a smaller group of people. You get to ask individual questions. You can put them in the chat. You can unmute and ask them. And it's just an opportunity to get clarification in the things that we're going over. So that's the program structure. There will be a manual. I think that Francine mentioned that. And there's also assigned textbooks. Francine, do you have that in front of you? Can you pop the textbook list into the chat as well? And these textbooks, you can purchase them kind of as the program unfolds. I would say that you need the Essential Kundalini book as well as the anatomy text right out of the gate. The other ones you can, order one every few weeks or something like that. So you don't have to feel like you're ordering a whole, litany of books at once. There's nothing required before the program starts. You do not need to read anything ahead of time, practice anything ahead of time. And as soon as you're in the Mighty Network classroom, you will have access to the live classes and things that are going on that you're welcome to attend if you would like to, leading up to the start. The first official live class of the program is, I think it's the 26th of September. I keep getting these dates. Yes, it's the 26th of September. So yeah, just know that anything that you want to do before that is great. And there isn't an expectation that you will do anything prior to showing up on that first day or watching that first class on replay. The first 2 classes of the program, that Thursday afternoon and our first Saturday that we spent together, are really orientation, getting you familiar and comfortable with the learning platform, helping you understand the syllabus, understanding what certification requirements are, just so that everyone is on the same page and really, really clear at the beginning of the program what to expect. So we do take those first 2 days to help everybody land and arrive and not feel those initial jitters that can come up when we start a new teaching, training, certification, school, whatever structure it takes. A lot of times that old educational trauma, those old educational wounds start to come up of like, do I know enough? Am I going to fit in here? Am I going to be an imposter? What did I even sign up for? What was I thinking? Do I even have time for this? You know, just those stories are pretty normal to kind of flood in when we start a new journey like this. And so our intention in that those first 2 classes, and certainly the first week, is just help everyone land together. No matter how people enter the stream of Kundalini, it can be taught in a way that is not disruptive to the system. And
Okay.
when Kundalini is taught through a trauma-informed lens, and we're consistently having active choice in going deeper, easing back, noticing, staying aware, we eliminate some of that risk that people often associate with doing things in a too fast or out of order type of language, because we're doing it through trauma-informed guidance and a consistent check-in with how our own bodies are adjusting and acclimating along the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great question. Great inquiry. And you know, you'll hear from all of us, you know, definitely Francine and I, over and over again, that, you know, we never know what's best for anyone. But we can help to answer questions and to give you more information so that you can always make the best choices and decisions for yourselves. And, you know, whether that is what program to take or what Kriya to do or what mantra to focus on, you know, what we want to do is to give you enough information to be empowered to make those decisions that only you know are the next best step for you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Belinda. It looks like Maya has in the chat requirements for certification. Yeah. So Maya has done our 200-hour program. The difference in requirements is essentially that you're going to be receiving curriculum that overlaps Kundalini yoga with 3 subjects that are kind of like minors, you know, a minor subject within the major of Kundalini. And what we do is we ask you to choose one of those subjects, either Ayurveda or Enneagram or lunar archetypes, and focus your final teaching video on that. We've run this program many times, and we have found that too many options all at once is too overwhelming for 300 hours of learning. So we ask you to choose. You still learn all of the subjects and are qualified to teach all of the subjects, but we're not asking you to turn into us a Kundalini and Enneagram final, a Kundalini and Ayurveda final, and a Kundalini and lunar archetype final video. That would be a lot. So you choose one, and your final 60-minute video is in that topic. You're asked to write a reflection about the other topics that you didn't do a final video for, just giving us the summary of what you took away from learning. So let's say your final teaching video was Kundalini through the lens of lunar archetypes. Great, that's your 60-minute video. You will write a summary reflection for Ayurveda and Kundalini and a summary reflection for Enneagram and Kundalini. That is the main difference. There's a final reflective exam that covers the topics in the program. And, it is encouraged that you attend Kriya rehearsals, that you watch the live classes, and that you do the reading assignments that are throughout the program as well. And those are the requirements for certification. And we'll go right down the whole checklist on those first couple of days of class, just so that everyone sees it in writing and knows where to find it in writing. And, there's no surprises. We never want there to be. Part of being a trauma-informed school is that we are transparent in our expectations of you. We follow through with the things that we promise. And whenever we start a new program, we found that students just feel more at ease and grounded when they know where to find information and feel like we're all starting on the same page. Again, when I teach anybody at Yoga Farm teaches, there's no expectation you're going to agree with me. We might not agree. We might not agree often, and that is okay. It's okay to have differing opinions and experiences. So adjustments and assists in the lens and the umbrella of trauma-informed teaching are not things that often come into play. And the reason for that in a trauma-informed yoga teacher training is because we're making some assumptions when we adjust and we assist students. And I do want to say I also have taken and written Vinyasa Hatha programs, and I have done many hands-on assists with students throughout the years. From a trauma-informed yoga teacher training perspective, however, we're making an assumption that we can look at someone else's body and we can tell that their body needs to shift in position or in engagement. And we can't actually know that for sure. It is an assumption. We also are making an assumption that our presence on someone else's mat in their yoga practice is adding to their practice, not distracting or taking away from it. So we base most of our adjusting or helping students understand proprioception and where their body is in space and time by using verbal cues. And maybe then by using a visual cue and asking students to look at us so that we can demonstrate in a different way, or we can use different language. However, we don't often go onto somebody else's mat, come into their space and adjust their physical body. We have found that we can usually do this verbally. And you'll see that when I teach, and we go through all of this when we teach you guys, how to teach online, because that's also part of this. Like maybe you want to teach in person, maybe you also want to teach online or teach hybrid. This is the way at this point, right? We're doing a lot of hybrid things. How do you focus on your students and know what they're doing? So something that you'll see if you join in on our live Kundalini classes is that there's a camera far away so that you can see me and my physical demonstration of the practice. And then I have a computer really close to me that is also signed in on Zoom, and the camera is off on that computer, and I can see all of you if you turn your cameras on, which again, in trauma-informed philosophy and methodology, that's a student's choice, and students, bless you, Francine, are going to know that you can't see them if their cameras are not on. And it's a skill that you do learn. I'm delivering a lesson, I'm engaged in what I'm teaching. And I also see all of you in your homes, in your little boxes. I can't hear Francine, but I saw her sneeze. Over time, you are accustomed to paying attention to what's going on in these myriad of little boxes that are in front of you. Again, if students want to be seen on camera, and some of them don't want to. And I just have to cross my fingers that I'm giving really good verbal cues, because I'm not going to force anybody to turn their camera on in a yoga class. It can be pretty vulnerable. So those are just some of the basic differences. It's not even really part of Kundalini lineage to do adjustments and assists. It's not as prevalent as it is in Iyengar yoga, which probably has the most amount of adjustments and assists, or Ashtanga yoga, Vinyasa yoga. What we're doing essentially is we're trusting our students over time to become more and more embodied through the practices, and more aware of that skill set of knowing where your body is in space and time, which is, it's a skill, because we spend so much time up in our heads. We're not really thinking about, like, what is my pinky toe doing right now? I don't even know. It just exists there until we think about it. So we rely heavily on verbal cues. And I think too, it's fair to say, like, it's hard to imagine learning online when you have gone to other trainings in person. It was definitely Yoga Alliance's #1 concern when we transitioned to online format. So I'm just going to be biased. You all know that I'm going to be like, we're great at this. Why would I say anything different than that? And I do think it's a good idea to go to Yoga Alliance and look up our school and read what past grads have written about being in our programs, because it is, that's a place where you're going to get firsthand information that isn't from me, that, you know, loves being able to teach online and feels like it's actually in some capacity so much more connecting and intimate than an in-person yoga teacher training. And the reason that I say that is because I'm in your homes. I get to see your cat. I get to connect with what's going on in your space. You get to be, I mean, we're in my dining room right now. You know, we're not in this separate, you know, retreat center or this separate facility. We are integrating these things every single day in our real life. We get off of a class or a practice or a meeting, and we get to use these skills immediately, not 4 weeks from now when we finally go back home, you know, and have to buy toilet paper again or go to the grocery store. So, and this is coming. I've done programs both in person and online as well. So I'm pretty, you know, I'm pretty familiar with both styles and have experienced them from a teacher perspective and from a student perspective. So in the Kundalini 200-hour program, you learn a lot of the basic yogic philosophy that you would learn in any 200-hour yoga teacher training program, because it's part of Yoga Alliance's standards. So things like the 8 limbs, the 4 yogas, the anatomy that's required, the physiology that's required, those fundamentals. And then you learn 6 kriyas, 6 sets of specific practices that are foundational practices. Those practices are in most of the live classes that we teach. So you will do them and be exposed to them when you attend or watch on replay any of those Kundalini yoga classes. They're the practices that we can't help ourselves with, you know, spinal warm-ups, morning wake-ups, Sahibi Kriya, the spiritual warrior Kriya, which you also learn in this program as well. In the 300-hour, we go deeper in specific topics. We also spend more time in philosophy rather than talking about the broad stroke of yogic philosophy. We dive deep into the Bhagavad Gita. So we're just able to go deeper into specific topics than we are in the 200-hour. And then I believe total, you learn, I think, 18 kriyas that are not the kriyas that are in the 200-hour program. So it is more and it is deeper than the 200-hour. And if you feel like your 200-hour didn't give you a solid, like, yogic philosophy, history, learning the 8 limbs of yoga, learning how the 8 limbs of yoga pertain to social justice and decolonization, because we talk about those topics as well. We talk about them in both programs, and it is very deeply rooted in the 200 hour because it is our educational philosophy to decolonize and deconstruct the colonization and recolonization that has happened in yoga communities and continues to be prevalent. So that is a part of our foundational program. The book that we assigned to that is called Skill in Action. You're welcome to just purchase that book so that you get a deeper dive into understanding the 8 limbs of yoga, ahimsa, satya, yamas, niyamas, through that lens of social justice. And we touch on it as well because that it's so built into the fabric of our organization. It's part of our mission and vision statement as a nonprofit. If this is the time, if you landed in this meeting for a reason, I think you probably did. It's pretty miraculous that we find each other on this vast internet of distraction. And if it takes a little bit for you to make that decision, or maybe it's not the time right now, and you just wanted to get to know us in the meantime, stay engaged in the Facebook community, join that. We have a free Kundalini 101 course that's available on our website. There's no prerequisite for that. It's also not a gimmick. It's 100% free. You could just sign up for it, start moving through some practices and seeing the ways in which we teach Kundalini at Yoga Farm, and stay in touch with us in a way that feels supportive and useful. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Francine. It was lovely to see you all, and hopefully we'll see you all very soon. Take care. Bye, everyone.